All right, we have the evolution of teaching materials. In 1442, hornbook was invented, and people didn't start using it until the early 1500s. It was a wooden paddle that kids carried to school on their belt, and it was used by children in colonial times to help them learn to read. In 1690, the textbook was introduced. The New England Primer was the first textbook for children, and it was later used in the United States. It featured rhyming phrases inspired by the Bible and the ABCs. It led to more varieties of textbooks in different subjects, and it allowed students to study things that happened throughout history. The computer was introduced in 1822, and it was a much easier way of typing compared to typewriters. It allowed individuals to type up their work and backspace easily, and they could save their work on the computer. The Dewey Decimal System was introduced in 1876, and it allowed individuals to classify books in the library and organize books by genre. The slate was introduced in 1890, and it was used by students to take notes, and they could practice things such as spelling and mathematics on them. Pencil and paper was introduced in the 1900s, and it replaced slates and allowed students to record information and save it instead of having to erase it every time they wanted to write something new like they did on the slates. The printing press was invented in 1936, and it allowed people to make copies of paper and books, and it was a new form of advertisement. The film strip was introduced in the 1900s, and it was instructional education for pre-K through 12th grade. The ballpoint pen was introduced in 1940, and it allowed students to write down their work without having to save it, and they didn't have to worry about it being erased. Videos were invented in 1954, and they consisted of images, sound, and text. And with a video, the learner had more control over the information they received, where they were able to stop, rewind, and fast forward, making learning more easy. Calculators were introduced in 1972. The handheld calculator was the predecessor of the modern-day calculator TI-83, and it allowed students to do math and science problems more quickly rather than having to write out all of the work on paper. The internet was invented in 1990, and it allowed students to find more information on topics, and it was faster and easier than going through books to find information. The smartboard was introduced in 1991, and it was a higher way of teaching. Teachers were able to save the notes that they wrote on PowerPoints for students. Google was invented on September 4th, 1998, and it allowed people to find hundreds of links about topics in a matter of seconds, and students could find more information on everything and anything. Clickers were introduced in 2007, and they allowed students to quickly answer questions or take quizzes in class anonymously. And iPads were introduced on April 3rd, 2010, and they allowed students to search topics on the internet quickly and easily, and students could take clear pictures of things done in class and make videos of educational materials, and they were much easier than having to bring a laptop to class.
Hold on. Okay.